Hello Gobs and welcome back to another episode of RPG Horror Stories. Do I even need to do an outro anymore? I'm reading horror stories off the subreddit and sometimes my own subreddit. So hey, if you have a story and you want it to be read, go post it on my subreddit or the YouTube comments down below or any other place I have social media because it's all in the description. If you don't know who I am the Goblin King. Nice to meet your acquaintance. And no, not the Goblin King from the Labyrinth. I am simply a gob in a cave. That's it. I'm just a gob in a cave. But I do all sorts of RPG and RPG adjacent content on this channel. That interests you, consider subscribing. And if you would like to see what else I do on this channel, click on my name to check my channel trailer. Short outro today. I'm not going to yap your ears off. Let's just get right into these RPG horror stories. Our first story comes from Dr. Gunslinger. Player only speaks in references and pop culture. Lighthearted. Starting off easy today, okay? But buckle in. I don't know what's gonna come after this, but we're just starting off with an easy one. This is not exactly a horror full-on experience. Just a mild frustration that I like to share. Currently, in a game that I'm loving, the world is deep and rich with lore, characters, and lots of food. I'm in a small party as it's hard to find players for us. I play a paladin with high charisma, very talkative, having fun with it. There's another player who's a pretty cool guy, to be honest. He has lots of love for fantasy and is polite. He has one issue. He does not know how to speak without making it a meme or reference. These include, but are not limited to, SpongeBob lines, memes that range from 1 to 20 years old, more SpongeBob lines, singing songs that are only popular in meme formats, and, you guessed it, even more lines from SpongeBob. It wasn't bad at first, but it gets very grating. Our DM asks often if we have any questions about a specific scene or whatever, and without fail, he will always respond very loudly, "Is mayonnaise an instrument?" Followed by no one laughing, and the DM going, "Nope, not an instrument." She doesn't seem to be irritated with him like I am, and I don't know the group well enough to ask the others if they're bothered by it. I also worry to do so because I don't want to cause drama or break up the group. This seems to be the only way for him to speak, because he's often quiet at the table otherwise, waiting for a chance to say, "nice," to every time I mention I have 69 silver pieces. I try and prompt RP from him often by asking his character questions, but these are usually short or also made into a meme. Ask if his character is religious. He responds, "I have the power of God and anime on my side." This is not an answer. He just says, no, his character is not religious. I don't understand it. What would you recommend I do to preserve my sanity and, more importantly, the group? I don't want to hurt his or anyone else's feelings. And this is a great situation to have on the channel, because we often see the most depraved of people in RPGs, but this is pretty lighthearted, and even one of the most lighthearted things on the channel, I think, aside from that glory story I read last week. Go check it out. But regardless, this is pretty lighthearted. It's just a guy who can't stop making meme references. And what should you do about this? Well, I know OP said they didn't want to, but they should honestly reach out to the DM and or who's ever in charge. Talk to them first. Probably learn more about the guy who's making all the meme references. Maybe there's a reason he talks like this. Maybe he's just, socially inept. Who knows? It could be any amount of things. But learning about why they act this way might make it better, might make it easier on you to not get irritated. Because if you're irritated to the point that you want to do something about it, then yeah, you should reach out to someone and see if anybody else feels the same way or if there's a reason behind this all. I know it's gonna suck, and if that breaks the group apart, that little tiny incident, I know you don't want to start drama, but if that little tiny incident breaks the group apart, then I think there was something flawed with the group from the beginning. Okay? That's all I'm saying. And remember, If you don't want to do that, I guess if you ever get too irritated, you can just leave. You know, no TTRPGs are better than irritated TTRPGs, I guess. But besides that, remember, talk it out. It's usually gonna be worth it. You get to learn something new, maybe see why they act that way, as I said, and maybe you might learn that they are also being irritated. Then you can come together as a group and talk to them, or you could always just politely tell them to tone it down a little bit. Okay, you know, you don't have to be direct. If that doesn't work, then hey, at least you tried. Hopefully it doesn't boil over into anything more. Let's move on to our next story. Our next story comes from Raven Siram. Nope, I butchered that. Raven Siram? Maybe that's how you say it? Who knows? Sorry if I butchered the name, but you see it on screen. DM slows game to a crawl, and then is surprised that the game is slow? TLDR, repetitive and boring travel, actively shooting down suggestions, and then making light of how slow the session is going. Very mild story here, never thought I'd be posting, but I like to get it off my chest. So our regular DM is a great guy, but he's far too stuck in his ways, plays far too closely to the book, and isn't flexible at all. Our first session was fantastic. We started in a city, had a series of short quests with a lot of problem solving, NPC interaction and decision making. Great! But when we leave the city to head to the next destination, the game slows to a crawl. Every single day plays out exactly the same way. You've traveled all day. Now who's on first, second, / third watch? Rolls dice. The night passes without event. Or, here's a random combat. It's the same thing every time. There's no unique combat twists, no unique map with terrain challenges, just run into each other and smack repeatedly until one side is dead. I figure our DM's just improvising and has run out of content but doesn't want to wrap the session because we're all still chatting. We eventually peace out once we realize the loop we're stuck in. Session 2. We arrive at a dungeon midway to the next city. Fun dungeon, interesting encounters, unique battles, cool dungeon story that plants seeds of possible future BBG. That was nice. Session 3. Oh no, we're back on the road. You traveled all day. Now who's on first / second / third watch? Rolls dice. The night passes without event, or here's a random combat. Oh my god, we're back in this. This was by design the whole time. Not just that, but new players have joined, and all we're fighting over and over is boring undead enemies because they're easy XP for the level 1s. My other Session 1 friend makes it fairly obvious when he says, when are we going to get to the next town? Oh, we still got an endgame week to go. It cannot be more obvious the boredom my friend showed when he sighed, and yet the DM didn't speed us along at all. What makes each random combat we play ever worse is every roll for initiative. Every single round. This is like 3 extra minutes of everyone rolling and the DM slowly counting down from 20 until someone says, "That's me." I actually suggested a method I'm planning on using in my own games. Just roll initiative once at the top of combat, then go in clockwise order. Fast and easy to remember. Nah, we'll keep doing it my way. There's even a point where we're fighting wave after wave of endless undead that it's fairly obvious the AC's 8. I rolled one time with my attack and damage dice together just to speed it up a teensy bit because I'm always hitting with my +6 attack bonus. And the DM tells me, yeah, don't do that. We finally arrive in town. Check in to an inn, and the DM goes, wow, we were supposed to be here hours ago. You guys took forever. I wonder whose fault that is. I'm only hoping as I prep to run my first time as a DM that I can open his eyes with the amount of ways I'm cutting all the fluff and getting to the meat of the game. When he runs actual content, it's fun, creative, engaging. But the dude just stuck to his travel slog like it's its livelihood, no matter what we say. I'm absolutely gonna rent horses the next time we need to go somewhere. God help us if the horses die in the night, though. And that's the conclusion of our story, and that one was actually kind of fun too. Man, are we 2 for 2 with lighthearted? It's just a DM who really likes the idea of traveling, but it doesn't sound like they can quite implement it. Now, I was gonna say, with the new players, they should have the new players just be at the levels the rest of the party is. That way you can kind of throw, I guess, normalized encounters instead of just really easy encounters, because you're just throwing extra easy encounters at them, and the level ones are just gonna level up anyways. You might as well just skip the fluff and just have them be at the same level as the party. If you are going to have travel in your game, make it interesting. Not like this. For mine, I built an entire map. I planned out many paths that the players could take, and then I simply offered them which direction they wanted to go. And besides that, I kind of cut out a lot of the travel. I even checked with them and they said they had a lot of fun because I put events along the travel that were unique to the story, and it set up plot hooks that could show later. And if they didn't run into an event, I would just use it later. I would just up the difficulty for whatever level they were at. You don't have to make travel this sluggish. And if the people you're playing with say they're not having fun with it, just cut it out. It's okay to end a session early and then everyone just hangs out. There's nothing wrong with hanging out. That's why we always keep a couple board games on hand. Deck of cards, they're very cheap and there's a tons of games you can play with it. So don't be afraid about ending the sessions early, guys. And in this case, it seems like not being direct didn't work. So you're gonna have to get direct, and you're gonna have to be honest with him. Talk to the other players, see how they feel, rally them together, and then talk to the DM about it. Or I guess you could do it your way and be subtle about it. That works if that's how you want to do it. Again, guys, like I said way earlier in that first story, take my decision with a grain of salt. Take anything I say with a grain of salt. Let's move on to our final story. Yes, story. I love reading stories. And our final story, keeping it short, comes from Proper Author 9800. That time a new DM forgot about vampire weaknesses. This one is pretty harmless, less problem and more funny, but as far as I'm aware, there's no RPG funny story Reddit. So here we go. Hey, you can put it on my subreddit. I read all types of stories, not only horror. I read it all. Glory stories, problem stories, funny stories. So how about you come on down to my Reddit and post it there. I'll read it here. Okay, I might have to change the series. This might just become RPG stories. But for now, we're going to keep it our RPG horror stories. And let's get this story on the way so you guys can go watch something else. One of my friends was once interested in trying her hand at being a DM. This was her first attempt at it, and she really enjoyed my Chronicles of Darkness games, so she decided to try a one-shot with the system. I had a character that I had mentioned to her that I played in another game, a vampire nun called Sister Rachel, which she liked, so she offered to let me join as that character for a cameo. Session starts normal enough. My character arrives at the local church and is allowed to take a room. I get to RP as Sister Rachel for a bit, meet a few NPCs, then go to set up my room. DM then moves to the perspective of the other players. So far, so good. I'm okay with waiting for a bit until she reunites me with the others. The problem is the plot then continues during daytime, and she pursues the story with them without a time skip. At this point, I start being a bit concerned, but decide to trust her and wait. Eventually, though, we get back to the church, and she tells me it's my turn to come out and join. While we have explicitly stated it's the middle of the day and game. At this point, I am utterly confused. I ask for her clarification about time in game, and she confirms. That's when I go to talk to her in private, and the combo basically goes like this. DM? You do remember Sister Rachel's a vampire, right? Yes. And you said it's so daytime? Yeah. You do remember vampires burn in sunlight, right? Crap. Thankfully, I was willing to wait a little more, so she improvised and had nighttime come so my character could join, albeit a bit later. The rest of the session went well after that, but ever since it's become an occasional joke among us to gently tease her for the past mistake. TLDR, new DM allows me to play as a vampire character, but then forgets midway through that vampires cannot go out during the day. And that will conclude our final story. Again, we're keeping it light this episode. we keep reading all these dark and dastardly stories. I don't know if they actually are. I kind of record these weeks apart, so I don't really remember the last time until I edit them. But last week we had the Glory story, and I don't know about the other two. But you know, we're keeping it light this episode, okay, everybody? All lightheartedness, just to give you a break from all the depraved stuff that I guess I've been reading all this time or whatever. It's lighthearted. Who cares? And this story, it was just a fun story. Just a simple DM mistake. And all you have to do is talk it out. Wade went back and fixed it, and it all became a joke later on. Now, if only all people were that easy to talk to and okay with mistakes and the like. So remember, guys, just be open-minded. That DMs aren't perfect. They're gonna make a mistake. If they let something slip or something happens, give them a break. Just talk to them either during the game, if it's that impactful, or just wait till after the game. Gobs, we're here to have fun when we play TTRPGs, okay? Never forget that. It's a game. It doesn't have to be that serious. It can be lighthearted. People are gonna make mistakes. No one is perfect. And I would like to say, not all vampires burn into sunlight. Okay, it depends on the lore of the world. Vampires are vastly different, and there's no set lore. Who knows? I don't know how the system works, so it could just be in that system that vampires burn up in the sunlight. So, completely up to you guys. Remember, not everything's set in stone, so just because it says it in the book or in the lore doesn't mean it's going to be true at your table. And with that, all the advice has been given, all my opinions are out there. Make fun of them or tell me your own in the comments below. Remember, you can post any type of RPG story to my subreddit and or the other social medias I have down in the description. Check them out. I don't post that often. I try not to be on social media so I don't get into online arguments. But what do you guys think about today's stories? Did you enjoy this more lighthearted episode? Let me know in the comments what you want to see. And I'm out of here. So I hope you guys have a lop of a day. May your adventures be lighthearted and be good people. Wink.